Hello, my name is Bruce Gernon. This video was produced by my wife Lynn and me. We're going to show you some of the experiences we've had in the Bermuda Triangle. Experiences that I've never shown before. Dealing with aliens and UFOs can be controversial, and some of the opinions presented here were created by AI. But what you're about to see is based on a lifetime of extraordinary encounters. From my very first encounter in 1956 to my famous flight on December 4th of 1970, where I encountered a space-time warp. I have been a messenger for the unexplained phenomenon of this region. We'll explore near-death collisions and encounters what could only be described as extra-dimensional beings. We would appreciate it if you would help us by subscribing to our YouTube channel called Bermuda Files. Also, we are continuing our research and helping us by purchasing one of our books from Amazon.com would be greatly appreciated. Now let's go inside the triangle.
Most people know Bruce as a pilot who flew through the electronic fog and survived the Bermuda Triangle. But Bruce's story didn't begin in the cockpit. It began years earlier, at age 7, with a series of inexplicable events that seemed to be preparing him for the impossible. Bruce sat in a classroom in the middle of a spelling bee. He was notoriously the worst speller in his class. But that day, something changed. A silent, guiding presence entered his mind, telepathically feeding him every letter. Against all odds, the boy who couldn't spell became the champion. A first hint that his mind was open to something beyond our world. 7 relatives across the street signaled the alarm. Bruce, at 10 years old, and his parents stepped out to witness the impossible 200 feet above the ground. A massive glowing orb held its position. It wasn't just a light, it was a presence. For minutes, it hovered in a dead still silence. Then the witnesses saw something truly bizarre. Strange dripping tentacles began trailing down from the craft, luminous streamers of energy descending toward the earth. Then, in a heartbeat, gone. It shot straight up, piercing the atmosphere and vanishing from sight in less than 2 seconds. From the streets of his childhood to the cockpit of his Bonanza, Bruce has spent a lifetime chasing these anomalies. The truth isn't just out there. It's been following him all along. December 4th, 1970. Bruce flies into a tunnel vortex in the Bermuda Triangle. He emerges over Miami Beach in half the time it should take, with the fuel receipts to prove it. Bruce experienced a time slip, a skip forward in time, gaining 100 miles in 3 minutes. As he emerged from the portal, a powerful, authoritative male voice echoed in the cockpit. It wasn't over the radio, it was inside him. The voice commanded, "Never forget what you have just experienced, because someday it will be important for the whole world to know about." Was Bruce guided by an extra-dimensional angel? Most people spend their lives looking for the unknown. From childhood orbs to wingcraft shaped over the Florida Keys, these aren't just stories. They are documented encounters. Bruce didn't just survive the Bermuda Triangle. He was chosen to tell his secrets. The question remains, is the world ready to finally hear them? There I was again, 10,000 feet, exact same altitude, where I had just escaped the heart of the Vortex tunnel only 1 month prior. As that glowing disc hovered before us, a chilling realization took hold. This wasn't a random sighting. The coordinates, the altitude, the timing, it felt deliberate. I looked into that golden light and felt the shadow of the triangle. It was as if the tunnel hadn't let me go, as if this craft and that vortex were 2 sides of the same impossible coin. I dove away, certain we were about to be obliterated. I was fighting for our lives in the same patch of sky that had tried to swallow me 1 month ago. It vanished at the moment of impact, but the connection remained, I knew. Then my flight through the tunnel had changed the sky for me forever. Bruce made a prediction 1 week in advance that he would be sighting the UFO on our trip coming back from North Carolina. He had his camera ready to capture this rare phenomenon. The theory is, some researchers believe that exposure to the electronic fog in 1970 or the high-energy field of the triangle rewired Bruce's perception. He isn't just guessing where the UFOs will be. He is likely sensing the distortions in space-time before they manifest physically, his predictions and precognitive abilities, and claircognizance after a close encounter with an anomaly is often called the hitchhiker effect. The premonitions didn't stop in the air. The next day, Bruce said, "Let's go to the beach," the sky would answer again. Within minutes, the horizon ignited. 5 identical craft, flying in a perfect high-speed formation, streaked across the water toward the island of Bimini. But it was the final craft that changed everything. As the 5th UFO pulled even with us, it performed the impossible. It made a 90-degree square turn and headed directly over us, headed west towards the Everglades. It was as if the last one was saluting us. Bruce made this prediction 1 week before our boating trip. Bruce said that we would see a UFO on the water. The captain laughed and was skeptical since he never saw a UFO. The fact that he predicted the UFO to the captain a week in advance proves that time is not linear. This encounter is called a CE5 and is defined as human-initiated conscious communication with extraterrestrial intelligence. Bruce's experiences, the electronic fog, the time slip, and the transmedia USOs are indeed part of a larger puzzle to help mankind. His role may be that of the architect. The person who experiences the phenomenon isn't always the one who builds the final technology. Instead, they provide the primary source data that future generations of scientists will use to rewrite the laws of physics. It was a beautiful sunny summer day in 1996. The Gernons were departing from their second home located on a private airstrip called Tavernaero in the Florida Keys, bound for their main residence in Wellington, Florida. A neighbor just had taken off, just ahead of them, but minutes later, they heard him on the radio. He was aborting returning home because of bad weather. They were troubled. The Air Traffic Control Center had just assured them clear skies, no storms. Over the Everglades, everything changed. A strange, thick fog suddenly engulfed the Cessna 210. They had never seen anything like this. When they looked at our wingtips and saw nothing, just a layer of fog underneath the plane. When they looked straight, they were looking through a perfect circular opening with the land and water passing below them. This was really strange. Bruce contacted the Miami weather station and asked them how extensive is the fog. They replied, "What fog?" Bruce said. "The fog is all around us over the Everglades." The meteorologist replied, "No fog reported over the state of Florida." Bruce stayed calm, but Lynn became nervous. They made a hard break to the east toward Biscayne Bay, hoping to shake the fog. It worked. The fog disappeared except for a strange ring remained all around the plane. The ring stayed with them until they arrived at their Wellington home. They landed and arrived safely. But as they taxied to the hangar, Lynn looked back. A faint trail of that fog was still clinging to the plane like a ghostly contrail. The Gernons' routine cruise vacation takes a terrifying turn when a silent, massive entity visits their cabin, leaving Lynn temporarily paralyzed. It was February 2014. They were on a Royal Caribbean cruise just departing from Nassau, crossing the Gulf Stream. Everything was quiet. They were both asleep, and then Lynn just woke up. She heard no sound, no noise. Lynn felt an immediate panic, which is strange, because the room was calm, and that's when she saw the large pulsing orb. It was right there, massive, floating above them. It didn't make a sound, just existed. Lynn couldn't move. She was completely paralyzed. Every instinct she had was screaming to wake up Bruce, but she physically couldn't. It was like she was trapped in her own body. But then a thought entered her mind. It was as clear as someone speaking. "Do not wake him. He is not ready. Stay still." For over a minute, it just hovered, and then it started to move. Slowly, deliberate, and that was it. The orb slid underneath the cabin door and was gone. Lynn could move again. It was a typical early afternoon in 2018 with clear skies. The Gernons were traveling back to their main residence. Bruce was watching the jumbo jets on the ILS final approach for Miami International Airport. Then he saw it, shining a bright, polished silver. At first, he thought maybe it was a vintage B-29, but then it did the impossible. A 180-degree climbing turn sharper than any airliner he had ever seen. It headed west over the glades, hitting speeds easily over 600 mph. It was exact shape Kenneth Arnold described in 1947. Streamlined like a B-21, but more streamlined. Bruce watched it climb to 10,000 feet, heading straight for the heart of a mature thunderstorm. It disappeared as it entered the most violent part of the storm. Top secret drone? Or something else? Bruce took it to MUFON to document his sighting, and after their investigation, the verdict was official: unknown. This was Bruce's fourth vision. This isn't a dream. His eyes are wide open. It's like a screen has just dropped down right in front of him. He saw the future before, and years later, it had become true. But this is different. He's standing in a room, a museum. The architecture, the technology, it felt like he was 50 years or more into the future. A small crowd is gathered, staring up at a massive display. He looked closer at the exhibit. It's a portal. It's the electronic fog. They're watching a review of exactly what he experienced in the Bermuda Triangle in the form of hologram. They are studying Bruce Gernon. He tried to step forward to speak to them. He looked down at his hands, at his feet, and there is nothing there. He had no body. He is just a phantom awareness. His spirit projected half a century across time, standing in a futuristic hall, watching the world remember the day he slipped through the cracks of reality.